everybody, this is Victor, Tape 909 project, and today I want you to show you how I connect all my setup. I think the topic is very interesting because when I bought all this stuff I just couldn't realize how to connect everything. You see, I got Ableton now that commands all this stuff. So everything, all notes, all chords came from Ableton to synths, and I use MIDI controller to receive this result. The first thing that you need is audio interface with as many inputs, as many instruments you have, and multiply the number of inputs, audio inputs, if your instrument is stereo. For example, microKORG is stereo, so two cables takes two audio inputs in this sound card, in this audio interface. This synthesizer is mono, so only one cable takes only one audio input. So how to connect everything? There are two types of connection. First type is MIDI connection and second type is audio connection. You have to use both of them. Let's start with MIDI connection. To connect everything with MIDI, I will use MIDI cable. As you can see, my audio interface has MIDI output. So I take the first MIDI cable. It goes from MIDI output of my sound card to MIDI input of my Roland TR-8S. Then I take the second cable that goes from Roland MIDI output to next synthesizer. For example, it goes to MIDI inputs or input of microKORG. Then I take MIDI through of microKORG. If you have out and through, I use through. MIDI through from microKORG goes to MIDI input of Behringer. Next cable goes from MIDI output of Behringer to, for example, these synths, and so on. And the second type of connection is audio connection. I have this synthesizer. It has audio out, so this audio out goes to audio in of my audio interface, and the same thing I do with other synthesizer. For example, Minotaur audio out goes to number 3 audio out of audio interface, and so on for every synth. As I said, if your synth has stereo output, so you use two mono cables, so I use two audio inputs to connect the synth to the sound card. For microKORG I choose 15 and 16th inputs, audio inputs in my audio interface. For example, if I take 3 outputs of Roland TR-8S, so I use 3 inputs on my sound card. Next thing that you have to do is to set up your MIDI interface, or set up your audio interface in your Ableton preferences. As you can see, for audio input and audio output I choose my audio interface.